Recently, there seem to be a fair number of radios using the Pro or Plus suffix to an established model name. The difference seems to be that radios with Plus in the name add GPS, and radios with Pro in their name add frequencies, zones, Bluetooth programming, or some combination of those things. In this video, we'll take a look at the new GM-30 Pro from Radioddity. Radioddity's GM-30 has been a popular GMRS radio for a couple of years now, and it remains a good GMRS choice. They released the GM-30 Plus about a year ago, and I have a review of that radio here on the channel. I'll leave a link in the end card and in the description below. The GM-30 Plus added a number of features, including a new case, additional channels, zones, and GPS. The GM-30 Pro we'll be looking at today maintains the new case, menus, and features of the GM-30 Plus, but adds a Bluetooth smartphone app programming capability without the GPS capability. Both the GM-30 Plus and Pro are available at just under $40, so price isn't a big determining factor. The big differentiators are the app programming versus GPS and a new pretty light blue accent on the GM-30 Pro's case. Give some thought as to whether you would actually use the GPS. I have several GPS-capable radios and they're cool, including the GM-30 Plus, but I find I seldom use the GPS function. With GPS built into most smartphones, the GPS in the radio's cool factor exceeds its actual use, at least in my opinion. I do, however, find myself using smartphone programming apps. As always, I'm just pointing that out. You do you. Before we go into some of the GM-30 Pro's key features, I need to let you know that Radioddity provided the radio for this review. They sent the 2-pack kit that includes a couple of extra accessories we'll look at in a second. They don't see the review before it's published or tell me what to say. Here is an abbreviated list of some of the features that caught my eye. First, the GM-30 Pro's channel management is pretty easy with the addition of zones or banks. There are 10 zones that correspond to the channels between 1 and 100, 101 and 200, and so forth. With a little forethought, you can develop a plan as to where to place your channels. For example, you might choose to place the GMRS channels and a handful of local repeaters with their respective CT, CSS, or DCS codes in Zone 1. If you have a city you often visit, you can place another set of basic GMRS channels and that city's local repeaters in Zone 2. Zone 3 might include marine band channels or MERS channels, and so forth. 1,000 channels is a lot, so don't feel bad about duplicating your common channels. The GM-30 Pro has 8 receive bands. These bands cover just about anything you'd want to listen to, including the AM airband for aviation frequencies, broadcast FM frequencies, and the NOAA weather channels. The last item before we look at what comes in the kit is the smartphone app. I'll do a clip on its operation a bit later, but here are a couple of things to keep in mind. First, it looks like Radioddity was planning on using the radio frequency programming app, but changed their mind. In the sales page, it refers to the radio frequency programmer, but their QR code takes you to an app called Walkie Talkie Tool. It's available in the Play Store, so you have some confidence that it meets at least a minimum set of security standards. There's also a QR code for iOS devices. The app itself seems to work pretty well. This app includes some social media elements such as group discussions and so forth. You'll need to establish an account to use those features. However, the frequency RF choice just to the right of the plus sign does not require any login. touch the radio icon, and you'll be taken to the programming app where you'll connect to the GM-30 Pro. Hey, if you're finding this video helpful, please click the thumbs up button below the video and subscribe to the Gadget Talk channel if you haven't already. More than half my viewers aren't subscribers. I'd really appreciate you joining the Gadget Talk family as a subscriber. There's also a thanks button below the video where you can make a one-time contribution to support what we do here. Now, on with the tours. First, let's start out looking at what comes in the 2-radio kit. Take a look at the sales page to see what's omitted in the single radio kit. Doing a little math, if you need the accessories in the 2-radio kit, based on their normal retail pricing for those accessories, the 2-radio kit radios are only about $18 each if you were to buy the accessories separately. So here's the box that the GM-30 Pro comes in. This is for the dual kit. The single kit will come in a smaller box, but let's take a peek at what's inside. First is the user manual. It says the GM-30 Pro, and it's pretty typical of the Radioddity user manuals. Type's a little small, but they cram a lot of information into it. It's got diagrams, it's got the icon explanations here for what's on the screen, and then near the back it goes through some of the advanced features, how you do various things, and then of course it finishes up with a list of the menus and definitions of what those things mean. So all in all, it's a pretty good menu. At the same time, it's pretty typical. At this point, I want to point out the QR codes. They will take you to the respective app stores for the Bluetooth programmer called Walkie Talkie Tool, and you can search play and get that without using the QR code, but it is there. To charge the radio, it comes with a wall wart with a USB-C cable. The A is on this side of the wall wart, and then the cable has got an A and a C, and these are what you use. It plugs into the back of the battery. It does not come with a cradle or a desktop charger. Security-wise, it comes with a lanyard, wrist strap, if you will. It goes into the back of the radio. You can also put it on the back of this little belt clip. The belt clip has, the spaces for the screws, and the screws are in the back of the radio already, so they're not in a little plastic bag or anything like that. So that's what we have for radio security. Of course, it comes with an antenna. It's got a heavy end on this end, and then the antenna itself is fairly flexible, as it's a pretty narrow wire. It's not firm and hard like some of the rubber duckies that you get. And this is the standard antenna that comes with the standard pack, and then of course it comes with this dual pack as well. And then the last of the standard accessories that come with either the dual or the single pack is this wired earpiece. It has a push to talk. It plugs into the K connector on the side of the radio, and you can loop this over your ear so you can listen to your radio without disturbing those around you, and still use the push to talk and microphone to trigger the transmitter on the radio, even while leaving it on your belt or in a pocket. Now, the dual kit I got came with a couple of other accessories. They are listed in the product sales page, except for this programming cable. So it's not marked separately, so I'm assuming it comes with the kit. It may or may not, but it is a Radioddity programming cable with a K1 connector and a USB-A on this side. It's typical. If you have these radios, you probably have a drawer full of these cables already. The other thing it comes with is a long antenna. This is like 15.5 inches, 15.8 inches, something like that. This is also a dual band antenna. It's a little bit bigger. It covers more of the wavelength of the signal with a physical antenna, as opposed to some of the electrical things you can do in the base of an antenna. And so you could expect a little bit better performance with this larger antenna. And the dual pack comes with two of these in the dual pack. Again, the antennas both have the socket or female side on the antenna side, and as we'll see in a moment, the male or plug side is on the radio. And then the last accessory that comes with the radio, I've taken it out of its bag. Here is the shoulder mic, or the speaker mic, however you want to call it. It's a wired mic. It comes with the K1 connector, a fairly long coil of wire so that it is expandable. And then, of course, the push to talk here that'll light up. And then it's got down the bottom a place where you could plug in a headphone. So that's an interesting accessory to have if you like the idea of a speaker mic as opposed to just using the radio's mic. These come in handy if you're using the radio in a car, where you can put the radio down near where it's plugged in and then just have the mic up in your lap or on the console of your car. So this is the speaker mic that comes with it. So those are the accessories that come with the dual pack: the larger antenna and the speaker mic, and probably the programming cable as well. So now let's do a power off tour of the radio itself. I see I've got the screen protector on here. Let's take that off. Very good. So on the radio, we've got the screen at the top. We've got a menu and exit key that do what menu and exit keys do. You can move into the menu mode, exit menu mode. We've got a P1 and a P2, what we'll show you here on our power on tour, instead of, say, a VM or an AB switch. They're labeled P1 and P2. Then we've got the regular numbers here. Here we also, instead of having the various menu shortcuts printed on the keys, we've got A, B, C, D, E, F, like you might see on a telephone, which leads me to believe that we're going to be able to enter text in some of the menus here in the radio, and that's always handy. Down here, we've got the hashtag and the little Z for scanning. 0 has a little cloud beside it, which means that a long press there will take us into the weather mode. And then, of course, we can lock the keyboard with the lock key that's double printed here with the star or asterisk key on the bottom. On this side, we've got the top side key that turns on the torch or the flashlight at the top. 1 click for on, 2 clicks for flash, and then a third click to turn it off. We've got the main push to talk. And then we've got side key number 2 that we'll show you what that does. And it's got some programmability to it, so you might be able to set that to something that makes better sense or better use for you. On the back, we've got the screws for the belt clip here. Notice that the belt clip connects to the radio, not to the battery. The battery is right here. Notice also it screws in. The USB-C port to charge the battery is right here, and a little charge indicator is right there. And then along with a couple of the charging tabs if you were to use a desktop charger. On this side, we've got the rubber cover that folds down for the K1 connector. And then on the top, here is the flashlight that I mentioned. There's an LED that shows transmit and receive right there. We've got the SMA for the antenna, and then again the plug or spike side is here, the male, and then the on-off switch is here. And then you can see a little loop that you can use for that lanyard should you choose to use the lanyard. So that's a quick power off tour of the radio. Now, let's turn on the radio and do a quick power on tour. So you notice I've got the antenna mounted, and I'm going to use the on-off switch to turn the radio on, and I'll put it up near the microphone so we can hear what the voice sounds like when you power it on.
Channel mode.
So it's the typical male voice that is on a lot of these radios. So here with the screen on, you can see it's dual watch. It's got high. I've given it a name in the CPS called a GMRS 4. The little red dot shows it's channel 4 there, 004 in that red square right there. The battery is full. It's got a radio signal strength indicator for both the A and the B band. The lower register, or the B band here, shows GMRS channel 16, and the little red dot or the little red square shows 16 right down there. Now, if we press P1, what we're going to do is that makes it change from frequency mode to channel mode. And so it says VFO now instead of the channel number. And then here you can see the larger font for the numbers when it's in VFO mode. And those fonts are also there if you were to choose the frequency for the display, which you can also do in the menu instead of the name for the display. A short press over here moves from A to B, so it's the same as the AB switch down here. I haven't been able to determine what a long press on P2 is. I'll go back up here to the main one, and then a long press on P1 shows the voltage down there. So that's our buttons here on the front. I think I mentioned before that the 0 gives us weather, so let me push that and we'll go into weather and you can hear what that sounds like.
to 89. West wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Saturday, sunny and hot.
So that's the NOAA weather right there. Another long press takes us out of that. When we move to this side, we can see that the top one shows the torch or the flashlight. One click for solid, another click for flash, and a third click for off. We've got the push to talk there, and then we've got the side key number 2, and this one has got some programmable choices. I've got a short one showing the flashing light again, a long press. You see the signal strength indicator there goes completely red. That's monitor, so it takes all the squelch out of the circuit so you can pull in those low power signals that you might just barely be able to hear. You might be able to hear them with the monitor off. So that's the buttons over there. Now let's go into the menus and do just a quick tour of the menus. We'll go into menus. These work the same as any other menu. You select menu. They're divided into several categories. We're going to use the up and down buttons here to maneuver. So we can go into our banks, scan. This is new for this radio. It says wireless CPS. If you select it by using the menu key, you can turn it on or off. Turning it on turns the Bluetooth on this little receiver. And then you'll be able to connect to the walkie-talkie tool that we'll do a separate review on here during this video. Go down here into radio settings. It's the stuff you're used to seeing, you know, the step, squelch, power, and I think there are about 27 or 28 menus here, 27. So here's where you can program side key 2, squelch, tail elimination, and so forth are all here in this menu. If we go down one more, we can go to program a channel. And these subdivided menus, when they do a program channel menu, I think is really good because it makes it so much easier to program a channel here in the radio, because all of the things that you need to think about making changes to come up in one menu. And then as we go down here again, we get to radio info. It gives us the firmware, the hardware, the radio ID if you're using DCS signaling for something. We'll back out of this, and then we're back to the top where we have our banks. And so these new menus on the most of the radios released here in 2025 have got these subdivided menus which allow you to focus in on the tasks that you want to do without having to scroll through, 67 menus in a single list. So that's a look at the menus. So that's our power on tour for the GM-30 Pro. Next, let's connect the radio to a power meter and see what kind of power output you can expect. So I've got the GM-30 Pro hooked up to my MFJ 874. I've got it set down at the 5-watt level up on that top right knob, and it's transmitting into a dummy load. Now the lower channels in GMRS are 5-watt limits, the upper channels are 50, and then the interstitial channels I think are like half a watt or something. So we're going to check each of those and see what the radio outputs. So on the lower GMRS channels, I'm on GMRS channel 7 at high power, and this is what we get. We're going to be reading at the low arc. It looks to be about 2.6 or so, 2.6 on channel 7, that 5-watt power setting restriction for GMRS. Now we'll go up to interstitial channel. Again, we're reading on the low arc. We've got half a watt like it's supposed to have there. And now we'll go up to one of the higher channels for GMRS. This is channel 19, again, high power. And again, about 2.6 watts, 2.6 for both the 5 and 50 watt limits for this radio, and then half a watt for the interstitial channels. So that's the power output for the GM-30 Pro. Since we've got two of the GM-30 Pros, let's listen to how they sound. This single test transmission shows both the transmit and receive quality.
Test, 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 test. GM-30 Pro. Transmit and receive test. Test, test, test. 1, 2, 3. 3, 2, 1. Test out.
Earlier, we talked about the walkie-talkie tool app. Let's take a quick look at that right now. So here's a quick look at the walkie-talkie tool app. I've got it open here on my smartphone. Now to use the app, I'm going to go into menu, and I'm going to go down to the wireless CPS. I'm going to hit menu again, and then I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to need the Bluetooth on for this to work, and then I'm going to back out. And you notice here on the app, if you pick like one of the contacts or one of the other things that are going in there, it's going to ask you to log in. That's just for those social features. And so we don't have to log in with just anything here. So we'll go back here, and then we're going to go to this little icon right here, which says frequency read write. And so you can see there it comes right up. And so what we're going to do then is going to connect to walkie-talkie, which is what this is. We're going to select the model. This is a Radioddity GM-30 Pro. And then down here, we're going to go to the frequency read, write, and set, and we're going to press there. It's going to load. And then we're going to read from the radio. You can see the radio turn to programming right here, and it's reading. It reads pretty fast. I don't have much programmed into this. And so now the information is here in the app. And so if we go to the current zone, we can go here and touch zone. It'll give us the zones that we can set up. We can go to channel, and then we can see the channels, and they're all here. We can get 100 channels per zone. So the zones are, 1 to 100, 101 to 200, and so forth. And so if I look on channel 4, for example, it says it's GMRS 4, the frequency on off. If I wanted to add a CTCSS code and that kind of stuff here, I can do that as well. And so one of the frequencies that I did program in is channel 31. It's in zone 1. It's a local Phoenix repeater that's open. Here's the receive. Here's the transmit. Here's the CTCSS code. All of that information is there. And so this is how you can program. You can go into the optional settings, and there you'll find the things in the menu, such as, the battery save, the squelch, the step, and all that kind of stuff. So if I wanted to make a change, most of these are just drop-down boxes. And then you scroll up and down through the choices. I want squelch to be 3. I set 3 and hit done, and then I can move to the next item. And so all of the things that are in the menu are here in this options part of the program. When you're done, you can save it. Save is up here. Give it a name. It'll live on your phone. That way you'll be able to reprogram if you mess something up, and then you'll be able to access that particular profile with the profile button here at the bottom at the time you want to reload a radio or load a second radio for that matter. So that's the walkie-talkie tool. Since we're talking about programming, now's a good time to take a look at the GM-30 Pro's CPS. So here's the GM-30 Pro CPS from Radioddity's download page. And you can see it's very similar to many of the others that you've looked at. It comes up in the channel information, but across the top we've got the typical Windows things, file, new, open, save, what we're going to be able to program. We'll look at each of these. Read and write and program settings where we need to set the COM port. Mine is COM port 3 for this programming cable. You can import a picture to the radio, which is kind of fun, and then there's a help about. So let's start by reading from the radio. So we're going to use the icon instead of the program choice here, and we're just going to begin reading from the radio. Now the radio's gone into program mode, and you can see that the radio is downloading from its memory into the computer. That didn't take long. There's not a lot in here. So in the channel area, I've done some programming on this already. So we've got the standard GMRS frequencies here. You can change the CTCSS or DCS codes with drop-down boxes across here. And then I added names. These don't come filled in, so just, GMRS 1 through whatever. And we've got the narrow band here in the interstitial channels, and we go down to a couple of custom channels that I added with a couple of local GMRS repeaters here in the Phoenix area. Now on the bottom you can see here that you can give this a name, you can clear the banks, you can go from bank first to last and then up to next. And so this is bank number 2, so this would represent channel 101, for example. So we'll go back to bank number 1, and you'll see here that they go all the way down to 100, since they're banks of 100. And so those are the programming options that you have. You can give the bank a name if you want, so I can call this local, should I choose. And then when I look in the radio, it'll say local. Now, I can also then go in and do programming on my VFO mode. It's just basically where the VFO is going to start. If you change to VFO, you can go in here to radio functions, and here's where you've got the menu items from the radio, and they're just easier to deal with, with drop-down boxes. So squelch, timeout, timer, whether you have the key lock on, what language you want, and so forth. Where this differs from the GM-30 Plus is down here. They've got a GPS on and off and GPS system, whether it's GPS or a combo of the Asian-based GPS systems. This will overwrite your GPS Plus CPS. So if you have a GPS Plus, just use that because it works fine with the GPS Pro as well. So we go down here, then we've looked, and then if you do any DTMF signaling, that's all controlled here in this menu as we see. So that's the key features of the GM-30 Pro CPS. Let me just point out here, if you want to import a picture, you have to select the COM port again, and then it tells you the size. In this case, it has to be 150 by 128, and I find the BIT or bitmap file extension works best. So that's there if you want to put a picture on your GM-30. Then when we've got all this done, we'll go here into File, then select Save As, save it to your computer. When you're done saving, then you can go back over here and select Write. This time I'll use the drop-down. I'll click Write, Start. Again, the radio's moved into programming mode. The information is transferring, and the only change we made was making the different name for this, so we'd be able to see that on the radio now that the radio data is passed back to the radio. Let's wrap this up with some closing comments and observations. First, the radio enjoys a sturdy build quality and feels good in your hand. I also like the light blue accent color. Next, the smartphone app programming is effective and makes programming a bit easier than scrolling through menus on the radio itself. That being said, the subdivided menus, including the program channel menus, make interacting with the radio via the faceplate pretty easy too. Unfortunately, this radio is not yet supported by chirp. As I think I mentioned in the CPS clip, the GM-30 Plus and GM-30 Pro CPSs override each other. The good news is that either CPS works with both radios. If you also have the GM-30 Plus, stay with that CPS. I've read from, saved, and wrote to the GM-30 Pro using the GM-30 Plus CPS without a problem. All in all, the GM-30 Pro is a very nice budget class GMRS radio. If you're just starting out in GMRS, consider the 2-pack so you'll have someone to talk to when out camping or traveling cross-country. It's also a good choice if you're just adding to your radio collection for the kids or other family members. Join me over here for my review of the GM-30 Plus GMRS radio. Please like and subscribe with the notification bell on so you'll know when we post new videos. There are affiliate links in the description below. Thanks for watching.